It looks like it. So,
You.
Jake, yeah, sorry,
so we might need to each in. I mean,
Sure.
I can actually probably back things up a little bit too. That big in there. Yeah, it's nothing. But they'll need to move. I can also move the table back further. I think the table moving backwards too a little bit might help, but I just think you're too far out there.
Yep.
Oh, I got this cable here. Oh,
Oh, stop it.
I quit.
Where does that string through? You get to go to-
Zoom, it's new, it's a state.
Stay requirement. July 1st. Oh,
So anything you say can and will be recorded. It's recorded, I think, and then up for what, 90 days? Anyway. Although we just claim technical, issues and we don't have to do it, right? How many other, did you ever find out how many other townships are actually doing this?
we all should be.
That's not what I asked.
I'm a rule follower, Joe.
Well, I know that, that's why this is here. There's something on there. On it already. You like our high-tech solution?
Yeah, anyways.
Not hearing anything? I don't need to hear anything. Yeah.
They just unplugged that one.
Hmm?
They unplugged that one.
What's that?
Oh,
Oh, no.
do you want me to be host so that I can manage people in the waiting room? Because right
Sure.
now I'm in the waiting room.
You can, if I'm logged in as you over there, you can go over there and assign you, right? Or I can do it. I mean, it's just like any other system. Just close that off. Get that in the window there. There you go. Make host. Oh. I'm gonna say you could make you host and then make this co-host.
Can you imagine the recording of this?
Wait, is it being recorded right now?
Yeah.
Hmm. So you want to be co-host and not host?
Yeah, and that way I can let people in.
Sure. I'm gonna close this off.
Good for a second.
I'm going to. All right, it's going. You see it now? Good. Are you there?
I'm just looking for participants.
Oh, I wonder if it's telling me.
We still got 3 minutes in it.
Oh.
That light stop flickering.
Unplug it.
I think it's gonna behave.
Where's the Zoom? I like to just log into the Zoom. Is it on it's on the website?
Yes. Recording in progress.
Do you want to report on your phone too?
Yes, sorry.
All right, it is 6:31. I'll call the meeting to order. First, on the agenda is the approval of the July 9th, 2025 Benton Township meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the July 9th, 2025 minutes.
Second.
We'll place to make a roll call. McInerney,
Here. Yes.
Dodds,
Aye.
Husk, aye. All right, first on the agenda, next on the agenda is the report, starting with the financial report.
Okay, for July of 2025, for our rainy day fund, we had 0 expenses that month, leaving 0 expenses to date, a remaining approved budget of 0, and a cash balance of $88,592.79. In our township fund, we spent $2,474.67, leaving year-to-date expenses of $31,880.81, and a remaining approved budget of $23,119.19, and cash available of $303,140.34. For our township assistance fund, we spent $1,647.69, leaving our year-to-date expenses of $9,526.95, a remaining approved budget of $15,473.05, and a cash balance of $110,641.70. In our recreation fund, we spent $164.91, leaving year-to-date expenses of $2,944.44, a remaining approved budget of $2,055.56, and a cash balance of $12,334.59. Our COVID donation fund is holding steady at $450.22. Our township donation fund is still at $114.84. And our volunteer fire department donation fund is at $3,378.70. We had no non-routine deposits. We had our usual local income tax deposit of $1,491.25. And our Trust Indiana account earned $1,659.23 in July.
Board have any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve? Excuse me. Let's do a roll call vote. No, a motion first on the financial report.
Make a motion to approve the financial report.
Second.
All right, all those in favor will do a roll call, starting with McInerney,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Husk, aye. It passes. Next up, we have the trustees report.
Hey, I've had a demo with the Indiana Office of Technology regarding upcoming requirements for website accessibility. Local governments qualify for a free website, so this would most likely be a late fall project for me. They do recommend keeping old URLs so someone doesn't buy them and then put out bad information. And currently, former board member Eric Schmitz helps take care of our domains and websites. My budget workshop is on August 22nd, 2025. So I'd appreciate if we could get as close to we can to final numbers tonight, knowing that there might need to be some wiggling between here and our budget adoption, which will be in October. The Department of Local Government Finance released its capital improvement templates and instructions. I will say it is rather complicated and discouraging. I did think it was interesting that other Monroe County townships have had the philosophy to spend as much as their surplus funding this year via additional appropriations as to reduce the amount of work or research needed to complete this plan. And our cash flow documents, which I'll discuss a little bit later, has kind of an emphasis on that philosophy. I had some text in regards to the Danny Smith Park Community Grant, but I see that Mr. Killian is here tonight, so I'm going to skip over that. And I asked Monroe County Highway Department Director Lisa Ridge regarding examples of smallish projects that is on their wish list for Benton Township. And she gave me the following two categories of projects. The first one is Miller Road, Far Road, Old State Road 37 North, Brummets Creek Road, and South Shore Drive would be paving projects. The lowest estimate would probably be Miller Road. And it's a very small portion of Miller Road that is in Benton Township. And that is estimated at $95,000. There's also a side path off Kings Road that needs replaced, and it's in Benton Township. And this side path is estimated at $80,000 to replace it. I do also want to take the opportunity to talk about our recreation fund, since I don't think any of you were around when we established this, but our recreation fund was created in order to track expenses specifically for the Unionville Senior Center, thinking that at some point, maybe they would want to be on their own, maybe townships didn't exist anymore, but it was a way to kind of separate those two things. And so it was probably around 2014 or so that we created the fund specifically for that. And then as far as Indiana code allows recreation funds as well via Indiana code 36-11-7-2. So townships accept those in a county having a consolidated city, and it's for the establishment of a community center or a township recreational land area. And I can go into details on that, but just letting you know that we are able to have a recreation fund, but it is for township community centers or township recreation land areas. So that's kind of how we've been using it since then.
Board have any questions? Thanks. I have a motion to approve the trustees report.
The motion approves the trustee.
Second.
Do a roll call vote. McInerney,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Husk, aye. Carries. And finally, under the reports, we have our township assistance report.
I received a call from someone requesting cremation assistance for a spouse. The request was granted. Number two, someone called asking about local rental properties in Benton Township, as this is something that's outside of the scope of typical township information. The caller was referred to online resources such as Zillow. Number three, a Centerstone social worker called asking about specific details on bridging the gap for services for an ongoing client. Needs such as food and utilities were detailed, and ongoing conversations and updates with multiple agencies continue to evolve. Number four, the person from number two called again and asked for information. I returned the call to the number she gave me, and that family member would prefer not to be contacted. So they gave me the individual's phone number, and I've tried multiple times to contact them, and there was no answer and no ability to leave a voicemail message. Number five, I received a request for more information from Find Help. Emails to both addresses were sent with more information, and as of now, there's been no follow-up. Also, I updated our settings and program description and Find Help to be specific to Benton Township residents. When doing so, I found 4 additional requests for help that I don't recall getting. But folks have our information through Find Help, our website, our phone number, our email. So folks could have contacted me, but I did follow up with all 4 of those folks offering to help. And then lastly, someone called and left a message that they needed help. I don't believe that English was their first language. So don't be concerned with the ambiguity of that. I did refer them to Van Buren Township where they live.
Does the board have any questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the township assistance report?
The motion approves the township assistance report.
Second.
Roll call vote. McInerney,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Husk, aye. Carries. Old board business, starting with the 2025 travel policy that we carried over from the previous 2 meetings.
Several meetings. So I have 2 versions here, which Chair Husk sent to me after our last meeting. I did make the markup so that hopefully we can sign one tonight. If you'd like, I can read out loud the 2 paragraphs in question, which involve lodging and then per diem. And then I believe the only question or the only difference between these two is how the references are laid out.
Yes.
So do you want me to read the lodging
Sure.
paragraph? Okay. Lodging shall be attained at the most economical rate available for good quality accommodations. In general, the township will cover the cost of hotel accommodations at the standard room rate, government room rate, or conference attendee rate, whichever is less. Eligible nights includes those preceding each day of the conference and, when justified by the conference end time, the night following the final day. That is the lodging. Per diem, employees will be provided per diem reimbursement for the cost of meals while traveling on township business when the trip, including both travel time and work time, will take more than 6 hours each day, not including personal time. The meals and incidentals reimbursement shall be based on the current U.S. General Services Administration posted rates for a specific location of the overnight stay. Employees are encouraged to take advantage of meals included in registration fees or hotel accommodations. If an employee forgoes a provided meal, they may be reimbursed at the applicable per diem rate.
Yeah, and then the only two differences, I think the two different versions that you have are just whether or not we're using footnotes for the items themselves or using just a numerical value and the reference as a reference. I have no say either way. I just didn't know which one looked better to me.
Yeah, we didn't get copies of those, did we?
I think it did.
I might have missed an email, because
I think it was in the mass mailing from the trustee that included a bunch of other documents for the meeting.
so the only ones I got this month were the cash flows and then. The one with the meeting notes for everyone.
Yeah, so it was on 8/11, which had the temporary mock-up agenda.
Yeah, I did not get an 8/11 email.
Oh, wait, that just went to me.
It was earlier than that.
My last emails are from July 9th, and then the next one came on August 12th.
Are you checking your promotions folder or your spam folder?
Well, now this,
I did not, but I have
I
not.
don't know what you listened to me.
No spam.
I'm sorry, I appear to only send that to Joe. John.
I mean, I'm okay. I was okay with the last month, so I don't see an issue really. I just.
Yeah, I mean, this
Sure,
is,
I did this one.
the changes were read,
Right.
you know, so you're familiar with the other document, as the previous. And then the only difference is really just make a visual cue, whether or not they're in the references are in the footer or the references are in the, just at the end of the document, because that attaches as a footer. Really doesn't make a difference. Which do you prefer?
It doesn't matter. As long as we can read it, the state board of accounts can read it. I don't care about. Let's go with number 1.
That sounds good to me.
1, 2, and 3 in references.
Yeah, so. This one was just highlighted as references, and the other one actually was as a footer. Obfuscate it a little more. This may be a little bit easier to read and a little bit easier to modify later on, so I'm fine with it. The text is what was important to me. So does the board have any questions about the changes in the text? Be like this?
Yeah.
All right. And that looks like everybody was sent the electronic versions of these documents now. All right, so do I have a motion to approve the 2025 travel policy?
Motion approve the 25 travel policy.
Second.
All right, let's do a roll call. McInerney,
Aye.
Dodds, Huss, aye. We have approved unanimously the 2025 travel policy. But that concludes all the policies then, right?
That's,
Yeah. Okay. Next up, under old board business, we have the 2025 community grant. So they should have that document in front of them now, they can print it out.
David, I hadn't had a chance to see your updates this afternoon, and you said that you were gonna print it out. Do you happen to have that printout for the board?
I emailed it to you, I only printed 3,
Okay.
I apologize.
That's okay, I can pull it up online.
I can pull it up too. I think I actually, is it they're similar to this, cause I still have this one.
No, I just added to it.
Okay.
Yeah, the first 16 pages I was saying, but the last. Right there, I think is exactly. It's a lighting project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
way player safety. You want this one, chill, I can pull that for me.
I can pull it up here, thank you. Cause I thought it was sent at 5:48, so I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I'll send it to everybody. The updated version.
Is that what you? Okay. Okay, so that's different than what was sent.
Yeah, the one that I sent earlier
Right.
was, we asked for the
Presentation.
original presentation.
Right. So you submitted the original presentation to trustee Bright and that was forwarded to us, and then you sent the new one today, I'm assuming?
That's right.
Okay, perfect. And it's just the,
And it's the same, other than this added, I don't know, how many.
like 8,
Something. I tell you, Daryl, I'm curious if I do some updates, see what's.
isn't that perfect timing?
It's kind of the same that you had typed out in the email, just no visuals.
Exactly.
I was at a conference and somebody was getting ready to do their big presentation and computer started to update. Talk about really bad timing. Okay. All right, I know you weren't scheduled to give a presentation or anything today, but would you like the opportunity to kind of go over these extra pages here?
Sure.
'Cause usually we have like a public comment section, but the board is willing. I'm totally fine with amending the rules a little bit to allow you a few minutes to kind of go over this.
Well, I can't here, I'm just gonna,
You need a copy back?
that's okay, do you have one in front of you?
Here, yeah, I'm happy to give you mine back. No, I'm good, I can pull it up. Maybe the only one at the table really needs one is. Sitting to my right.
So where I'm kind of starting is, this is maybe a familiar slide, but it says it's a lighting project.
Mhm.
It says needs player safety, replace the field lights. That's a project we've actually already completed. What happened was, Cassidy Electric had, donated $5,000 to that project. We have some other folks who have said that they're willing to give money to the park. And so we went ahead and pursued that project, thinking we would allocate those funds for this project. It is still a need, it's not funded yet, it's completed, but it's not paid for, or within 30 days they should. So that's still a need, that is a priority, and I guess what I'm trying to say, indirectly is that if Benton were to support that project, then the other funds that have been pledged for this project could be used in another way. So that's the park lighting. The safety, or excuse me, the security cameras. On the next page, that is still a need. I think we discussed last time, mischief and things that occurs at the park, we would like to keep a better handle or know, maybe better what's going on there. To create more of a safe environment, so I would say as far as our wants or needs, then those 2 items would be the 2 highest on the priority list. And then, so those 2 are, we talked about previously, the next are other projects. Field 2 is, when you come into the park, it's located on the farthest west, so it's to the right there. is a second field that was added there in the history of the park. The field is out of level, and because it's out of level, then it erodes. It's about 11 inches out of level from the third base side to the first base side. And because it's so far out of level, then these pictures are trying to depict some of the erosion that occurs. And there's about an 8-inch swale in one location in the first base path. And so we have folks that are running on this base path, and it's creating a kind of an unsafe environment. We have not regraded fields in over 10 years. I think most folks, it's every 3 or so years. There's a shelf life to fields to where it's necessary to redo these types of things. The other fields are in need and on the horizon, but this one, none of the others have posed a safety issue that this one does. And so that's why we're prioritizing this as a project. The project cost is $4,000. I wrote here it's subsidized by community partners. Most all the work that occurs out there are done by folks within the community. Just like the lighting project, Caskie's subsidized a large portion of it, similar to this, then this project would be kind of helped along by others. So that's another one, regrading level field 2.
I'm assuming that the 2 inches that was dropped, of rain that was dropped in, under 8 hours probably didn't help.
It's been all year,
Yeah.
and so part of what happens is that we spend a lot of money every year for, we call it field conditioner. But it's little teeny tiny pebbles that essentially goes on the field, it helps dry the field out, and create a playing surface. But when you get rains like that, away it goes.
Yeah, it looks like my garden.
What's that?
It looks like my garden.
So the next one here is regrading a road. These pictures really don't do it justice. This is on the other side. So when you come in from the entry off of 45, instead of going towards field 2 to the west, this is off to the east, off to the left. There's about a 14 or so inch void where from the east, the old Danny Smith home, water travels down that grassy area and then kind of collects in a concentrated area. You can see maybe where this riprap is placed, and then also the asphalt is placed over the top of that. And again, 15 inches rut is what we're looking at. It's a need, it's a safety issue. When we have a lot of folks out at the park, it's used for parking. It's an injury waiting to happen. We're going to have to address this before next year. So there's significant erosion, it's dangerous, and the solution is to address the drainage and then add stone and regrade. Again, that's a project that will be subsidized with a total cost of about $3,500. The next is again back on field 2, the farthest west field, and it's hard to see in this picture. But up in these trees, there's a pole that's leaning, and there's been trees that have fallen on this light pole. The light is currently not working, and the pole is, we think, a safety issue. So over time, the pole is holding the light has become unstable. Replacing this is going to be necessary. Replacing the lighting is not necessary, but figuring out the reason why the light's not working will be necessary. Don't know what that is now, but just replacing that pole and just kind of estimating or guesstimating what the cost is on a I'll say rewiring. I don't know if that's the issue. Getting the light operational, so that costs us $4,000. I should mention too, as far as the order that these are in, is what the board had identified as far as a priority list of the needs at the park. Next, I'll put this under wants. Park safety and amenity. Lighting down at the batting cages. So beyond field 2, there's a garage that's there. It does not have power, nor does the batting cages. There is a road that goes to the south of the batting cages that continues to the west, that goes down to a veteran wellhead. This area is not observable from anywhere, by the road. It is a location of mischief. We find paraphernalia and things back there. I think so that as far as as I say, I think this project is twofold. One is to try and address the safety of trying to provide some more lighting down there. But also this past year, we had record enrollment at Danny Smith. We had about 86% of people that responded to our end of the year survey say that they had a fantastic experience. The one negative was particularly with the younger folks, the game times are too late. And so if we had batting cages, that would allow us to maybe re-strategize how we allocate fields and also use batting cages when we have rain events that otherwise were rained out. The cost of this project is fairly high, $8,400. That is because we would need to run power from the closest panel, which is located at a building behind field 2. When I say behind, I mean on the first base side, or excuse me, the home plate side. So it's about 350 yards to run service back here to this area. And then the lighting is a small cost, or maybe a third of the cost of that overall project total. Again, that's a want, I think. Another want, this item is related to the concession stand. The concession stand is currently cooled with window air conditioner. Our July utility bill was $350. What we have operational at that time is this window air conditioner and a refrigerator. So the ongoing cost of this window air conditioner is high. It's a constant battle as far as maintaining this. It's just not a sustainable thing. But the other is that every year we winterize the concession stand, which is also connected to the bathrooms. Despite our best effort to winterize, we have broken pipes every year. And so an idea with conditioning this concession stand would be also to have some heat, not that we would try and cool the bathrooms during the season or any time really. It would just be to keep the areas above freezing in the wintertime and to help with ongoing cost otherwise. This project's $5,500, again subsidized, eco-friendly mechanical and subsidized this project. Then was some of the things that came out of the board meeting was just dreaming and not necessarily related to this meeting, but what is the park, dreaming on the dream board type of thing. Again, going back to the growth that we've had, we want to encourage to foster that growth. We're going to run out of fields and time. And so one idea is to add another field at some point. Ironically, there was a field behind field 2 that was abandoned. At that time, enrollment was very low, and we needed garage space. And so the dugout was turned into a garage. But regardless, that is something that's on the dream board, if you will. Turfing the infields, this was somewhat tongue in cheek, a joke, but it made the list. It would allow for a superior player experience and reduce maintenance costs and effort. It absolutely would do that, but there is a shelf life to turf fields. And depending on like the high school fields, I think they're in about a 15-year cycle, and Bloomington North's $150,000 is what I'm told. So how realistic this type of effort is questionable, I would say. Paving the roads and the parking areas, I don't know that this would be a viable thing from the county's perspective. We would create a tremendous impermeable surface throughout the park. But regardless, I have a picture here. I took that today. That's up by field 1. One of the things that we battle is people going in there and doing donuts. Requires us to regrade, pick rocks out of the field. It's a nuisance, a frustration, but I think paving would be fantastic, but I don't know that it's really an option. So those are the dream ideas. So with that, that's what the board had identified. I put this little sheet together, which are those items just in a different format. Let's see, with some of that glance, I think it seems that.
So for the lights, do you just need the 7,000 to complete it, or do you need the full 12,000?
A 7.
7.
Cassidy Electric had donated 5 of the 12.
So one of the questions that came up after you initially came way back in,
Man,
yeah, May was get this. If Danny Smith Park were able to make these upgrades, would the park be able to be open for more community activities on a year-round basis?
as far as community activities,
Just anything, the park being like treating it like a regular park, I suppose.
well, we don't close the park. So it's available. We don't turn down folks that want to use the pavilions for birthdays or get-togethers or things like that. I think we are unique as far as a baseball park in Monroe County. Every other one's locked up. So as far as making it more available, unless, there's no events for, more events planned, I would say. If that's what the question is.
I think it was just, availability, can anybody use that park at any time of the day? You're right that it's not locked up, but,
Yeah.
can somebody host a birthday party there? Really,
Yeah.
is the question.
And people do, yeah.
Do you ever open up a concession stand to allow people to use that area, or is that's locked?
It is locked.
In the bathrooms also.
Same.
Still locked. So is the water, at what point is the water turned off?
So we have a work day, that's usually in October. When we turn off the water and, in the critical path there is just trying to catch it before we get our first freeze.
And then you turn it back on in April, probably, or March maybe.
Yeah, depending on the weather.
After the
yeah.
last freeze.
Yeah, right.
Which is May sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember this year. I think it was in April.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
We had to time everything for our garden, so.
Yeah,
After the first frost. The first freeze.
I think one thing that came up, and I don't remember that this was in a board meeting or if that was here, but keeping the bathrooms open for like 8 months a year, for 12 months a year. That's something we just couldn't do. We struggle to keep it mowed. And we struggle to keep, the bathrooms clean and so on through the season. And frankly, part of our major effort right now is trying to recruit people to help. We have about 6 people that are involved out there, and we're all burnt out, and there's super high turnover in the board, and that's why. So taking on something like that, at least right now, just isn't doable.
Well, I think you have to, understand that if there were a birthday party there, it'd be rather difficult to host one if nobody could use facilities.
Yeah,
That would be a challenge, I think, for anybody trying to have a birthday party there.
people have them. We just had one, not last week, but the week before, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I have seen people in the shelter houses, but I agree with Joe that it's not really a suitable environment if you can't have somebody. If you don't have the option to use the restroom, then have to leave the park. I understand your side of it too, but yeah.
What would it take, out of curiosity, have you thought about what it would take to have the bathrooms be open 24? 7 for those months where you have the water running?
Well, we probably have to staff it. I think every other park in Monroe County has staff. That is someone's job. And I'm not aware of any community asset that is open 24 hours a day that's fully staffed by volunteers. So what would it take? Probably a full-time person, or at least part-time. one of the concerns there is you keep turning the water on, it's unattended and probably asking for problems. We have enough vandalism out there, but that's a real concern.
Yeah, I'm. No, I mean, I remember Old Clock Park was close to where I was at one point in time, but I don't think I ever used the facility because our house wasn't too far from it, but.
Mhm.
I'll be honest in saying that I don't know what that would look like myself. You know, I
I'm
mean,
sure that's a city park, right? On is, yeah.
yeah,
I have no idea what the budget for something like that would be from the city, but it's probably information I should know.
And they have problems with the city parks with vandalism and people moving in and.
Sure,
yeah, I would agree. You could have
Same.
somebody come in and check in on it, you know,
yeah,
and whether that looks like a volunteer or a paid position too.
yeah.
Also, when you were here, you had mentioned something about the electric and the concession stand needed redone, as well as working on accessibility for the restrooms.
So the concession stand project's completed, it's on the back page, Elite Electric had donated the labor and materials to complete that project. So we're grateful for that, we're not running extension boards there, it's dangerous combining it. So yeah, that project's complete. The bathrooms, as far as making the bathrooms accessible, that was something that came up in our board meeting on Sunday, but wasn't something that made priority list.
Go ahead.
It has been a long time, I think, since that was discussed. I think it was several presentations ago regarding the accessibility for the bathrooms, but you know, so is that still on your board's radar? And do you have estimate cost, do you think, for that?
We don't have an estimate cost for it. I would say it's on the radar, it came up in discussion.
Yeah.
But I think as we talked about in May, what we were focusing on, you know, as a baseball park, that is our first priority. And creating a safe environment for the folks that use the park as a baseball park. And so focusing on those safety items is where we landed. It would be fantastic to have accessible bathrooms, but where that falls on the priority list of creating a safe baseball park is lower than the other priority, or the other items listed. Part of the discussion around the accessible bathroom on Sunday was related to the concession stand in general. And what does the future look like for the concession stand? We're out of room. It's a dilapidated structure. We've got issues. At some point, I believe we're throwing good money after bad. If we spend a tremendous amount of money to make it accessible, it doesn't really address our primary focus. And then at some point, is the building obsolete? And I don't know that it would get torn down or remodeled or what have you, but I think trying to maximize dollars and again, not throw good money after bad is part of the conversation that occurred on Sunday.
That's a good point. If I'm not mistaken from the picture, it looks like it was cinder block.
Yes,
And then it looks like where the AC unit is mounted, was that formerly a
that
door?
was the old door, or one of the old doors,
Yeah,
yeah.
it looks like it's drywalled over, excuse me,
Plywood.
plywooded over, which I'm sure is not the greatest of R
That's
values.
right,
Um,
it's been added on to at least 3 times. I shouldn't say that, at least twice likely.
And the AC unit is like right behind the refrigerator, which you know, I'm sure generates a little bit of heat as well.
Was that cost, is that only running it while it's set, or is it kept cool for the season for the food? The AC unit?
Well, the AC unit through the season is kept in, 75, 80-ish. And then usually what happens is it's unbearable whenever people are in there, and then they'll turn it down to 60 and then. But, for the month of July. I don't know what it was, 75 maybe, only $350 bill.
Yeah, cause I think that that's not a garage rated refrigerator or freezer, so it probably needs to stay a little cooler in there than 100
Really
degrees.
great, and that window air conditioner, especially when we have extreme temperatures like we did have, it just doesn't keep up. Especially when you got multiple refrigerators adding heat. So the idea with that HVAC system was a mini split. To where there would be two supplies, one in each bathroom, and then two in the concession area. And my thought was that would keep up from the cooling perspective, but then also keep it above freezing in the winter time. Every year since I've been around, there's been further fires, and we've tried to winterize ourselves. We've had professionals come in and winterize. It just doesn't matter. We've just always got some issue.
So back in April, we had provided a list of things like standalone playground equipment, outdoor grills and picnic areas, frisbee golf, sand volleyball court, and larger things. We're dog park, community garden, new fence, all of those, or any of those of interest to the board then?
So we talked about those items, like the little library, I think that was on the list as well. Yeah, I think part of it again was going back to the mission of the park and trying to find things that supported baseball. As far as grills and things, I think those are fairly low cost items. Again, I think the focus is, are we trying to create more birthday party type environments? I mean, is that the perspective from the Benton Township? The community gardens and those things that require maintenance, I think are things that we're not interested.
Well, when we talked about this in the original thing, we had talked about benefiting Benton Township residents in the larger community. Focus on safety, security, and accessibility, not specifically provided by another government entity, one-time initiatives, and do not rely solely on this program for funding. So I think community was kind of a goal for this funding mechanism. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna, certainly for me, I mean, I think all these things would be awesome if, if we had monopoly money or, somebody's bank account and we could do them all, but when it comes to the township's involvement and the money being tax money, I think that, at least for me personally, it seems like we've been pretty together on this one, is that it has to benefit the community as a whole. And so baseball operations don't do that. So that's kind of where I fall on it, is if it's, and I know I totally get what you're saying with like grills and all that stuff, because someone has to maintain it if it's dirty or if it's broken, and that becomes hard. But like a walking path, anybody can pull in there and use that. But somebody that's, say you're 65 and you just retire, you're probably not pulling in there on Tuesday to play baseball, but you might use a walking path. And so it's this stuff that's more community oriented, at least for me. That makes sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, I think it's the, you see the baseball fields there, how many people will actually stop, just take a break and a relaxing, is there any benches there for somebody to come in and sit down? Because I think that if somebody looks at that and sees that, well, it's a baseball park and that's how it's being promoted, then they may not, feel comfortable even going into that area. And I think that, even if it's just opening it up a little bit more the way it's marketed, you yourself have said it is in fact a baseball park, but I think that trying to get away from that, that is what we're looking at, from the perspective of the town, and its residents, and being able to use that park for potentially other things too. I mean, we understand fully that it's a baseball park. I mean, it's great. Love seeing, the activities that are occurring there. But just, it does say Danny Smith Memorial Park, and so what makes that a park? Usually community, and bring in, other events for potentially, not just a birthday party. Just somebody to be able to go and relax or do a walk, you know, things like that.
Sure. I understand your perspective as a Benton Township resident. I think as far as community goes, I don't know the percentage of Benton Township participants that are there, but it's high. I mean, this is a community park where I play there, my
Right.
son plays there, you know, it's community. Again, it goes back to, we just can't, it's not sustainable for us to create a Bryan Park in Unionville, Indiana, and rely on 8 people to support it. It just is. I will say, it's rare that I drive by or I'm there and don't see someone there, playing on the park, goofing around on the field. And they're coming from somewhere, whether they're Benton Township or not, I don't know, but, it does get utilized.
Well, you know, going back to the bathroom issue, say. We were to promote the park as a community park. A baseball park, but also a community park for birthday parties. If. The bathroom was able to be upgraded. And maybe you could have like a sign up sheet. Online for someone who wanted to do a birthday party and give them the key to the bathroom.
So the way that's generally handled is someone will contact someone, either I said that's very specific. Contact someone through Facebook or something like that, reach out to the park in some manner. Somebody generally goes and opens the bathrooms. And that's usually a board member. If they have scheduled a birthday party or an event or something like that, they make the bathroom available. So, and that's been actually, Herbert quite a bit. She's the one that fields those generally. So. To say the bathroom is not available, it is if we're communicated with. And it's, you know, we don't charge anything for it. It's a resource.
Well, now it's public information.
Yeah, it seems like that would build goodwill too, you know, among the greater.
Yeah, sign up sheet on your website or something, or contact us here if you have, you know, an event that you would like to do, something along those lines. Instead of, I understand the Facebook thing because it's the way a lot of people communicate, but I guess I'm still old school and use a web form. Wouldn't really, you know, I go to the Facebook page, but I don't like to post, you know, on a lot of those sites. So a form or an email that, you know, could be directed to for a sign up or something like that, or even paying a deposit, you know, something along those lines too.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, I'm not opposed to having a sign up sheet for. It sounds similar to what we're doing now, just formalizing it.
Right. I didn't say no.
Well, I would say overall, then, I think I mentioned before, we need volunteers, we need help. And as much as we would like to promote this as a park, it is not our first priority. And I understand Benton Township's priority is to use all taxpayers' money, use it in a way that benefits everyone, not just people who play baseball.
Right.
So I understand your perspective. But I'm not gonna volunteer the rest of the board members
Certainly.
to commit to something we're already burning out.
Yeah, I don't think the board would ask you to do.
No, I don't think that's the case.
But I think that, you know,
It is an older township, though Benton Township is an older township, so. If your child's not playing baseball, then,
Right.
you know,
what is your mechanism for, well, we're running a little long here, but this is a great discussion. What is your mechanism for getting volunteers? Is it just somebody that comes in and wants to volunteer, or is it just mainly the board that's volunteering? Have you sought to involve the community maybe a little bit more in asking for volunteers? Because, you know, a mass mailing or something along those lines, because I live just right up the road. I would probably be willing to volunteer sometime as well. And it's just, you know, that engagement and reaching out, you know, I can do it, but having a mechanism where it's formalized, I think, would be pretty amazing.
Yeah. We're trying to get there. I mean, right now, what we've been doing is sending out emails to the group that participates in baseball. We have at least 2 work days a year. I don't remember the number, but I think it was either 6 or 8 people that showed up the last work day that we had. And that's one day. And so, you know, for 363 other days besides those 2, then falls on the other. That's not your question. So to answer your question directly, emails, Facebook, but those are specific to the group that plays baseball and softball.
When my son played there, which would have been 16 years ago now, the person that was head of the board said that they had a lot of trouble competing with Bloomington baseball because the amenities they had there were, you know, top notch, and they had batting cages. And I don't know if the city of Bloomington subsidizes those as well, I don't know, but he said they were losing players to Bloomington because of, because of the difference in the.
But we've heard in this presentation that, they're looking to open up potentially a new field too.
Yeah, so that
More-
seems like that's,
More
you've
activity.
addressed that problem, and it's like, you have record numbers, which is really good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
We should have a Benton Township workday there. We can knock out.
I actually did, not, a year ago, I did volunteer for your work thing, I did go out there,
Thank you.
so.
Much appreciated.
Final question from me. Looking at the photos, obviously, we were talking about the facilities themselves being cinder block and, some plywood there. You have a construction background. Would just unofficially, officially, would your recommendation be to renovate that facility or to tear it down and build something new, which would be more cost effective, I guess?
I don't know, I'm not sure what the end target would be. I mean, if the.
Modernized bathrooms, modernized, facilities, where you're not having a air conditioning unit sticking out of a plywood wall.
Yeah.
I know it's a big question, and perhaps you don't have to answer it if you're not comfortable with answering it. But it just really gets to my thought process of, it seems to me that some of the things that the board talks about here and, that we've discussed even with opening of the park, I think starts with the foundation of that facility, whether, that bathroom is available and you've already, stated that it is available, but, through a process, that may not be publicly, known, but
Right.
through finding it out, you can get there. But, I'm thinking that if that facility was upgraded, redone, torn down, built anew, perhaps that is the starting point for kind of, making this park a little bit more than just a baseball park, but, or expanding that functionality, I guess, maybe I didn't word that very well. But expanding that functionality and, that if you build it, they will come kind of mentality. And so that's just what I'm thinking, which of those two is the best solution? And, if doing that would help bring in more people, and then we're looking at what that cost is. And sorry, I'm just continuing to discuss this, but, then have you thought about a fundraiser, or something where you mail everybody, in the Benton Township and say, hey, this is what we're looking to do. We have this goal, and then people can contribute, whether it's a business, a township, or any other individual who might want to contribute a few dollars towards that. Where you have a goal and you have a thermometer, or whatever you want to have, that indicates where you're at with that process, and has your board considered it that kind of, process?
Yeah. No. So.
Okay, then.
The reason I asked what the finish line is, if the finish line is let's make some accessible bathrooms, then it could be taking one stool out and creating one stall where there were two, and now we have handy-capable restrooms. If the finish line is to have a community building, that's very different. And so that's why I say at the beginning, well, what's the target, what's the finish line? And again, what we had focused on as the board was, these are the items from a baseball perspective that we need to do from a safety perspective to make sure we can continue on in a safe manner. And some of the things that would be the nice to haves or the awesome to haves don't get considered because we're spinning these other plates. So I'm not saying that it would be fantastic, but directly, no, it hasn't been something that we've really even dreamt about. It sounds awesome.
I'm planting the seed here, you know, because I think that would make it, that would be fantastic, you know, and that is a pretty laudable goal. I mean, it's a pretty it's pretty up there. But maybe just to plant that in your mind.
Mhm.
And like you said, the concession stands. You're putting money in just to,
Kick the can.
yeah, so, I mean. I remember 15 years ago, it was a minute, you know. If I had to clean the bathroom and when my son played there, so it's, I mean, it's, I'm sure it's not. Much better, but
You should check it out. I think the bathrooms are clean. I think that they're not handicap accessible, but they function. We have some shortcomings certainly. But traveling around to other baseball parks or even other parks in town, I'm proud of the bathrooms and the way that we maintain them. But as far as having a real community resource to where people want to go to this facility, that's certainly not what we have.
Right.
I hate to ask this and I apologize if I butcher it, but you being in construction, and having your own construction business, are any of these things something that your construction business would be involved in and thus could be perceived as a conflict of interest?
I did not, no. I don't do the grading work, the electrical stuff is electrician work. I didn't bid on any of them.
Okay, thank you. The last question that I have is, a lot of these seem to be kind of one-time projects. You're talking about, erosion on field 2 and some other erosion to fix things. Kind of, we're in a unique situation in which we can fund larger projects, but this is kind of a one-time deal for us. Thanks to AGA 1461, it's pretty much getting all of our surplus funds. So, have you thought about, or has the board thought about kind of how these projects would be maintained kind of long term? So you said regrading every 3 years for, for the field, so,
For some parts too, David
Okay.
Smith certainly hasn't.
okay,
So I think the hope is that once it's regraded in a way that's more sustainable than it is currently. And I would say that's the same with the road project. I think unless you fix the root of, where's this water coming from and how do we redirect it, then we're gonna be regrading, adding more dirt, more stone next year. So I think it's possible to approach these things, specifically the road in a sustainable manner. The fields, I think a reasonable expectation is at some point it'll have to be redone. Now, can we kick that can another 15 years? Hopefully, but that depends on how well it's done now. But there are other parts, down just south of us, we played in a tournament and they do theirs every year. So that's not what we have. That's their approach. Did I answer your question?
I think so, just, in the past, Danny Smith, we've had these kind of ongoing conversations and projects and relationships, but. I just kind of wanted to say this is kind of the end of the road, I think, for that type of thing, unless things change, the legislator may meet next year and they may change some funding formulas, but right now. It's not looking very great.
Yeah, well, I think, I would like to say thank you for the support that Benton Township has provided to Danny Smith over the years. It certainly wouldn't be what it is now without, Benton Township support. So thank you all very much, and the community.
Yeah, and other businesses I've seen, your list of donations from other groups and volunteers for their participation, from discounts to paid for signage and things like that. It's been really amazing to see all the different groups that have contributed to Danny Smith Park, and I think that Benton Township Board and trustee here are we're happy to have been a small part of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the discussion. Thank you for answering our questions. Thank you for coming, taking your time out of your day and coming in and talking with us. I guess I should close by saying, does the board have any final questions?
No, I don't think so. Not for me, at least.
I'll move to the next agenda item. So we have the 2025 capital improvement plan.
I had some updates from Monroe Fire Protection District. Do you want me to read the correspondence?
But yes, please.
Okay. Trustee Bright, when I attended your meeting a few months ago, we discussed the possibility of how the district could potentially partner with Benton Township to improve emergency services within the community. Specifically, 2 items were considered: the acquisition of cardiac monitors, CPR devices, and the potential purchase of an ambulance to be housed at Station 24. Since that meeting, other townships have expressed interest in similar partnerships. Our leadership has met to explore various possibilities and to determine the most effective ways to enhance our services, not only in specific areas, but across the district as a whole. While the district would like to purchase additional ambulances to ensure countywide coverage, in Benton Township's case, as we discussed, the truck could be housed at Station 24, but would not have additional dedicated staffing. As with all our other ambulances, it would remain available for use throughout the county and for special event coverage as needed. After careful consideration, we concluded that the purchase of cardiac monitors, CPR devices for the stations servicing Benton Township would have the greatest impact. These stations include Station 24 at Benton Township, Station 25 on Northfield State Road 37, Station 26 at Chambers Pike. When an emergency is called in, the closest units are dispatched. These 3 stations form a triangle of protection, providing 24/7 coverage for all Benton Township. While an additional ambulance would provide occasional backup coverage for the north side and Benton Township, our crews would use cardiac monitors on every medical call. Although best known for their role in cardiac emergencies, these devices are highly effective in trauma situations, respiratory distress incidents, and other medical emergencies. Equipping our teams at these 3 stations with these tools will ensure faster, more effective treatment for your residents. We look forward to the opportunity to partner with Benton Township to make this vital improvement a reality. Sincerely, Matthew Bright, Deputy Chief, Monroe Fire Protection District. And a second letter titled Capital Improvement Justification. Date August 13th, 2025, to Benton Township Trustee and Board. Subject: justification for acquisition of 4 CPR devices and 3 cardiac monitors. Overview: the Monroe Fire Protection District respectfully requests capital funding approval for the purchase of 4 mechanical CPR devices and 3 advanced cardiac monitors to enhance emergency medical services (EMS) response across Benton Township. These units will equip all 3 stations servicing Benton Township, as well as the ambulance stationed on the north side. These critical life-saving tools will significantly improve patient outcomes, firefighter safety, and operational efficiency during cardiac arrest and high acuity medical events. Justification: CPR devices improving cardiac arrest survival rates. Consistent, high-quality CPR. Mechanical CPR devices deliver uninterrupted, guideline-compliant compressions at the ideal rate and depth, something that's extremely difficult to maintain manually, especially during prolonged transport or in challenging environments. Operational efficiency: these devices free up personnel to manage airways, medications, and other essential interventions during resuscitation. Safety and accessibility: CPR devices improve provider safety during transport and in high-risk situations, such as roadside cardiac arrest or stairway evacuations. Cardiac monitors, enhancing advanced life support capability. Critical diagnostic tool: modern cardiac monitors allow our EMTs to assess heart rhythms, capture 12-lead ECGs, monitor SpO2, oxygen saturation, EtCO2, carbon dioxide in the blood pressure, and transmit EKG data directly to receiving hospitals. Early intervention: these monitors directly enable early identification and treatment of STEMI, ST elevation myocardial infarction, life-threatening arrhythmias, and other critical cardiac conditions, increasing the chances of survival and recovery. Standardization: equipping all frontline units with uniform and up-to-date cardiac monitors allow for seamless training, streamlined maintenance, and consistent medical care throughout the district. Need. Our current monitor inventory includes aging units that are either nearing end of life or lacking features required for today's standard of care. The proposed monitors will ensure the level of service is consistently available across shifts and coverage areas within Benton Township. Financial summary. The estimated cost for the proposed capital improvement is as follows. Mechanical CPR device. Quantity of 4. Estimated cost per unit, $24,746. Total estimated cost, $98,984. Cardiac monitor, quantity 3. Estimated cost per unit, $45,803.58. Total estimated cost, $137,410.74. Total, $236,394.74. Note, these prices are based on a quote received August 11th, 2025. Conclusion, this investment directly supports the district's mission to provide the highest level of emergency medical care to the residents and visitors of Benton Township. By equipping our frontline EMS units with these life-saving devices, we will be better prepared to respond to cardiac emergencies, improve survivability, and protect both patients and responders. We respectfully request the support of Benton Township Trustee and Board in funding this critical capital improvement. Thank you for your continued partnership and commitment to public safety. Dustin Dillard, Fire Chief, Monroe Fire Protection District. Anybody have any questions about that?
Do we know how long those last? Any of those things? It says that they're nearing the,
End of life.
yeah, do we know like how long the lifespan is?
I can check and get back with you.
Yeah.
I think when we did AEDs recently, it was 10 years. But that was also back when we had a volunteer fire department, so my memory may be. I slept some in basically.
I'm sure it's probably quite a while. Just curious.
So station 26 that I alluded to is on Chambers Pike. That's in Washington Township, and that is along Dittymore Road. So that would service the north part of Benton Township, north of the lake. They're the closest fire station to that area. And then station 25 also has the ambulance that services the north side. Great question. Anybody else have any questions?
No.
So, I provided the board tonight with kind of my working, cash flow worksheet as it relates to our township fund, our recreation fund, and our rainy day fund. So there's still a lot of moving parts here. I know estimates are coming in even today as we speak, in regards to what we can collect or allowed to budget for next year. So again, these things are kind of flexible. The one thing that so you've seen my cash flow sheets before. I know you guys love them, but I think it's important to, take a big long look at kind of where we will be to make sure that we can, sustain the operation through the ebbs and flows of we only get our tax distributions in June and December. But as we know, property tax will start to be affected next year, and then more heavily in 2027, and then basically be gone in 2028. Meanwhile, our local income tax distributions are estimated to increase during that time to offset property taxes, but that also comes into play with, is the Monroe County Council going to allocate the maximum amount that they can? They don't have to. How are other budgeting entities doing in this? And then also, is there going to be any changes to Senate Bill 1 that was passed this year? So I think it's called SBEA 1. I know that they're already talking about making changes to funding models for the next legislative session. So how is that going to impact all of these as well? So basically what I've done, I've taken the numbers that I've been given or that we can best estimate, and I've put us cash flow as far as our receipts Now you notice our interest, I'm kind of taking the philosophy, it would be really nice if we are able to complete some of these projects this year and do an additional appropriation. Sean and Jake, have you been on the board when we've had to do an additional appropriation?
Will we just move stuff from the other funds?
Yeah, so that's kind of a transfer of appropriation. An additional appropriation would be, so let's say we decided to go ahead and grant or go ahead and push through for the cemetery infrastructure, the Unionville Senior Center, and an additional project. That's gonna add an additional $235,000 that we have cash available to spend, but I don't have an approved budget to spend. And so what that means is there's gotta be advertising and, you know, extra paperwork and things like that. But it's a relatively simple process. You just have to prove that you have the cash in the bank. We have to go through a formal resolution process, and then I have to submit that to the state. And so then they say, okay, well, now you're allowed to spend, you know, that new amount. So if we were to spend down these accounts for these projects this year, or at least the ones that we can, I would anticipate that we would not have any funds that would accrue interest in Trust Indiana next year. And so I have removed that from 2026, 27, 28, and 29. In addition, I did go ahead and add these just to see what that would look like. Again, making sure that our ending fund balance is in the positive, and then looking at next year, and now all of a sudden we have that 30% that's gonna go away. And then subtracting our cash fund minus that 30%, what does that look like the year after? That kind of thing. So it looks like January 1st of 2028, if any of us are still around, that, you know, that might be a low year, but we could, you know, grow from that. So again, these are extremely rough numbers, but they're the best that I have as of today. As far as our recreation fund, you see kind of the same thing. Our balance right now, at the beginning of the year was $12,000. Let's say we do, we replace the shed. I know this year it cost $5,000. You know, that would take it down, but at some point, maybe in 2028 or 2029. So this fund still has property taxes being distributed into it, but I do not think that's correct. So these numbers were also in conjunction with the accounting firm that we're consulting with, specifically as it relates to these two bills and how it's going to directly impact our township. So it might be sooner than that. So you know, I'm thinking, well, we can go ahead and spend it down and then maybe dissolve the recreation fund and put all of our you know, expenses for the senior center in our township fund, and we would just have to budget for that. Back in 2012 and 2013, they were all in the township fund. So I did update the usual senior center expenses for 2026 and on, just thinking costs are increasing. You know, things may increase and we're not really prepared for it. And finally, in the rainy day fund, we do have, I believe, the current cash balance is $88,000 in that amount. You know, we could potentially fund, you know, the Danny Smith Park, the 2025 community grant. We could go ahead and get a contract or commit to a future project. And then we would have some additional monies there as well. And we could basically spend down that rainy day fund. Rainy day fund is a surplus fund for savings. We used to be able to transfer to it. But again, with the passage of these bills, I feel like it makes the rainy day fund pretty much moot. So here's some questions that I still have, and I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know the answers to, but these are the things that are in the back of my head, which makes this whole process very stressful. So what if our lit doesn't increase in 2028 as we expected? Whether they change the funding formulas, whether Monroe County Council doesn't adopt the maximum amount, you know, any number of things. COVID hits again, I don't know. What if the lit figures are reworked? I just listed all of these things in point number 1. What if the full lit is not adopted by Monroe County Council or it's changed? And then we also had supplemental lit for 26 and 27, but not for 28 and 29. So, you know, I don't know, is that part of the Senate Bill 1? I think so. So one idea I had was, it makes me a little nervous to try and spend on our accounts on projects when we're not really sure what our income is going to be. So our capital improvement plan is a 3-year plan. And so I thought, well, maybe for some of these things, like cemetery infrastructure, I'll talk to the senior center again, but they didn't have a lot of things. Maybe we can go ahead and plan, that within the next 3 years, we plan on spending it, but then if things get wonky, we can always change. So that was kind of my, my thoughts as it is. So we would be looking at it's highlighted in yellow, so $10,000 for cemetery infrastructure, $30,000 for the Unionville Senior Center. And we're gonna tie additional project up here with the additional project in rainy day fund, so that's gonna be $240,000 for potentially the fire district. We give up to $10,000 for Danny Smith Park for their 2025 project. And then my figures here are $30,000 for any future projects. So what does the board think of those amounts? Should I get out the whiteboard so we can discuss it? I love a whiteboard. When I get it out, the board knows they're in for a treat.
Those were all signed.
No,
There's eye rolling, there's that, but we do have the whiteboard back there and it does have stuff written on it.
So again, just for clarification, as long as we budget for the expense, then we're fine. So for example, if we take a look at the, what the district is requesting, we budget for that and spend. I mean, what if we were to buy, 1 or 2 units per year? Wouldn't that still give us the option to, spend that down slowly over time, but then also have the, the option potentially if we have something catastrophic to address, as well, and would they be okay with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, we plan out a 3-year plan. They have, I think, 3 and 4. We do 2 and 1, and then the next year we do 1 and 1, and then 1 and 1. If that is something, again, this is an example.
sure.
Of what we do. We can make the example as well for the Danny Smith Park of, this is how much we allocate for this year, but then let's go ahead and plan on a future project of we spend this much money on kind of X kind of styling projects. But as long as we, I guess, are specific enough but vague enough in a way that that money is allocated for the park, for example, but with the ability to say, oh, we have this emergency immediate need that maybe we could, I don't want to pull the money back, but that's exactly, I think, what I'm saying.
So I will think it's important to note that right now we pay for cemetery repair and maintenance, mowing out of our township fund in general. We already pay for senior citizen expenses. So as far as it relates to Danny Smith Park, in addition to the Monroe Fire Protection District, any money that is not spent by the end of the year will need to have a contractor and MOU in place. And actually, it's not by the end of the year. We have to submit that paperwork
By next meeting.
at the next meeting. It's due September 30th.
So we have to make our.
And it needs a detailed, this is a very detailed spreadsheet that I have to submit to the state. I have to state exactly what things are for. And that's going to be an annual basis. So the other spreadsheet.
So I guess my question, which I didn't really actually formulate a question for, is that something that we would want to consider?
Well,
Or no?
the other spreadsheet that I sent to you has more of that kind of a stepped approach
Okay.
to it. Where, let's say, what?
Is that the second page of the cash flow worksheet?
Yeah, it is the
I
second
thought there were
page.
2.
Yeah, and so I didn't print out that other one because I was kind of leaning for, let's just get it through and get it over with.
I guess in the back of my mind, as as Jake was saying, I think the last meeting and the meeting before last of, what if the state changes their mind, or alters or changes the I mean, if they make an amendment or something changes with that, and I think that maybe we should count on that, but I'm. In the back of my mind, I keep thinking, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I like if possible, the 3-year approach, just so you have some level of a safety net if you need it.
Yeah, well, I guess you'd have to put that in the MOU or SLA if, we reserve the right to cancel this contract at any time.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing to think of is our 30% cash surplus starts next year. So let's say we decided to keep money, let's say we $50,000 for Danny Smith Park. 30% of that will now be $45,000, or I'm sorry, 50,000 to what, $35,000. And like I said, I'm not saying that township infrastructure and roads aren't important, but I feel like we can do a lot more good with the money that we have, working with community partners, than paying for a sidewalk to be paved in a neighborhood that almost none of us are gonna use.
Well, they told us how much it cost to pave a mile of highway, but they didn't tell us how much it cost to pave a mile of highway with chip and seal. Which I've heard is a lot less expensive,
Yeah.
cause your tires and the paving.
So that would be the downside of a 3-year plan,
Right.
is that money, and I've already
Okay.
kind of accounted for that here with, the township fund. Even if we spent that this year, we'd still be looking at $11,642 to transfer next year, and then 2,000.
So it's only spent money, not allocated money, so we couldn't say we have this 3-year plan and then put the money towards this.
You know what, you're right, I stand corrected, thank you.
Yeah, so like.
This is all very confusing.
is.
I'm like admit that I'm rather lost.
I'm just I think I'm trying to come up with that happy medium or in between, where we can allocate the funds for certain projects, but still have some control to be able to go, oh, well, things have changed and we can adapt, or either in either direction, where it's assured that this is gonna happen. So we just continue with the plan as we had determined. But it's also, to me, especially when it comes to something such as whether it's field conditioning or it's replacing a cardiac monitor, as you asked a very poignant question of what is the lifespan of that? If we can do that over the course of a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or however many years that takes, doesn't then that make that replacement cycle a lot less heavy on a certain department or on a field conditioning that then it's kind of, okay, well, we're gonna do it this year and then we're gonna budget for it 3 years, and so you have that, you're starting to build that replacement cycle.
Yeah.
One challenge I will say, when I got price quotes for the fire department renovation, it was $200,000. When COVID hit, we ended up spending $500,000 on that. Because prices, tariffs, whatever, may make these prices are okay for today. Are they gonna be okay for a year from now?
Why you gotta throw the wrench in there? Yeah, no, I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, building costs, but I mean, again, I guess you have to weigh all those different components. I mean, I think that's a really good thing to bring up for us to consider too, but it's also, weighing, I think, all of the options together, and, I laugh and say, maybe costs will go down.
So this is gonna be a pretty redundant question, and I apologize for that, but so if we say, I'll use the fire department one as an example, because we have clear information on it, but if we said we're going to grant that 200 and whatever, 240,000 or whatever it was, for those items, and you have 3 years to do it in. Is that okay? We can do, that's fine, and then they could take those 3 years to do it, or do we have to say you have to buy one this year, one next year? How exactly detailed does it have to be?
I think
So it has
that's-
to be in writing.
Yeah, that's how that MOU works, is I think you document it, right?
Yep, and as far as the budget, that would just be kind of, like we did this year, and you guys have been great to work with as far as, I present a budget of what I think is reasonable yet conservative to spend. And then, here that Brock Cemetery project came in. And while I think it's okay, I had initially told you guys, we're gonna need to do an additional appropriation when this comes through. So as long as the board is flexible with me, still continuing to budget smaller, we could also perhaps even budget big too. I just have never done that because I've tried to be a good,
Steward.
well, it's not really a good steward, but it just, I've tried to estimate as best as I can accurately. But the downside is if we don't make it, I know there's a lot of information coming tonight. If we don't make a decision today, we have to make a decision by September 30th.
Really by our next board meeting.
Yeah, so that means if you guys, maybe we can have a meeting in 2 weeks or something like that. To see what kind of contracts we need to come up with and the ability to hash those out. Our budget hearing is going to be August 13th. Unless you guys want to change it, because actually we haven't officially advertised it yet. We normally have it during our September.
Today's August.
I think it's September 10th. Is usually the second Wednesday of the month. That's when we usually have our meeting. We can change that if you want something that's later, but if you feel like we still need to discuss, we can schedule the 10th and the 24th or something like that.
I'm just worried that I just don't want to be responsible for giving away the piggy bank, That's my only concern, and I don't, that's what we're doing, I just don't want to.
It's the finality of it, right?
Yeah.
All the townships are doing the same, we are all doing the same thing.
Okay.
And it's not us just choosing to do it, we're being forced to.
So really, I think that at the end of the day, the decision is, the money goes towards ultimately goes towards the highway. Road programs or towards things that we earmark.
Yeah.
That, as Trustee Bright was saying, that potentially benefit the community as a whole more. I'm all in favor of.
No, I certainly am too. I mean,
I'm trying to find any way I can to not have to make the final decision, but I think that ultimately we're gonna have to make that decision.
So we're looking at $325,000. That just makes me so sad.
Yes. Not being rewarded for,
Being good stewards
Mhm.
of saving.
Okay. I don't think the board's gonna be ready to make a decision tonight. Are we saying that, or are we looking at? Do you need more time, I guess is the question, and what does that look like?
I don't know that I necessarily need more time. I guess I'm just a little bit, so if we're just basically signing off on these numbers, but what does that mean as far as the additional project? Like, what are we signing off on that?
I just had that as just a labeling issue. I should have put Monroe Fire Protection District, but so under this model, $190,000 would come out of the township fund. And again, that cash balance right now is $303,000. And 50,000 would come out of our rainy day fund.
And that would go to the fire request?
Really, whatever we determine, yes.
Yeah. I think I certainly, of all the things we discussed, I think the fire one makes the most sense, and while I thought the ambulance was a good idea, obviously I think they have a good reason for not wanting the ambulance. So if that's what they feel is the most useful to them, then I'm certainly not going to disagree, as I am no expert, so I would be okay with that for sure.
You're talking about for 1 year, like purchase now, or are you talking about you would want that over a multi-year process?
I think that doesn't. I, if multi-year is an option, I think it's better because it maybe gives us a safety net and. But so if it's multi-year, we won't lose anything, right?
Well, I mean, that, I think we're on a high. In theory, yes, I think that's what we're looking at, is it's crafted correctly and written up properly, but the other flip side is, you know. What if something
Yeah.
changes and they say, you know what, anything that has not been spent, and even if it's been earmarked, is now subject to
Sure.
this. But does that give us then the ability to just say, okay, pull the trigger on, or let's go ahead and just do everything here?
Yeah, I guess I would defer to the fire department, then if they feel that they would want to. Split it up, so like you said, that the items are going to, you know, post date as at variable points, then. Then that's fine, or if they think they just wanna do it, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, we're not, I mean, mine was more of a hypothetical as well. It's not like we're talking, you know, 50 units, we're talking 3 and 4, so.
Yeah.
Maybe they've already planned for that.
Well, their budget's being cut too, right? They have property taxes cuts, I think, I think I have my estimate here somewhere, but we have estimates, some townships are gonna be losing up to $1 million, like Richland Township.
So in addition, am I not mistaken on the fact that if we did this allocation for the district, that might offset any increases that they have later on too? Because if they're getting cut, we're helping not just Benton Township, but the greater.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand this question.
Oh,
Please repeat.
Talking out loud.
Well, if you have a question, I.
No, it really wasn't a question, it was more, I guess. Oh, wait.
This is slightly unrelated, are we starting 2028, or is that going to be a larger amount than what we're receiving now? Like total?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right now it's 17,895, so 88,9 is much larger, and before we consolidated, this was around 120.
so theoretically, if we can survive 3 years, if nothing changes and these are accurate, then we'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I favored a 3-year plan.
Yeah. I like the idea of a 3-year plan because it gives, I just feel like it leaves you some wiggle room, but I understand that it's maybe not logical.
I'd be curious to know if any other townships are going that route, because I wouldn't want to be the only one, I think.
I agree.
I know that if you're in a planning, okay, another township, I've heard rumor, this is hard that this was recorded, I've heard rumor that another township is spending 6 figures and they're doing it this year.
All right.
So if we're not making decisions tonight, when do you guys want to meet to talk about this again?
What does it, I mean, I'm okay with that decision right there, is that?
Well, I think we were talking also about so.
Well, what I just heard, the question is what are other townships doing? Are they doing a multi-year, and would the district allow us to do multi-year? So that's not something, and you'd also ask about lifespan of the equipment, so that's not information that I have right now.
Right. I think that those are going down a different path, I think, but
They're just concerns I have. I mean, I think in general, I would defer to them if, or, and you guys as well, if everyone feels that this year is the best year to do it, then I'm fine with that.
so. I do have to admit that I like that the district did a estimated cost, but then included it down to the penny. All right, so that does allocate for that, so their approximate allocation request is. Okay. Covers the additional project on both budget, both funds. And then. Okay, so going under the idea of the additional project being the district, then we also still have, the Unionville Senior Center, which we were planning for budgeting for, right? Is that an expense for all 1 year? Are we talking like lighting in here and,
I would like to, but so far they're not interested.
why? Can we override that? Cause we have, these lights are awful. And it's that one that back there was flickering like crazy earlier. Okay, so. And then the township shed,
I feel like that number, is that low? Do we know if that is accurate?
The
I don't know.
township shed, I saw online 3,500 to 10,000. I didn't figure we needed a $10,000 model. I feel like we just need a straightforward storage.
This is your chance.
You're asking the wrong person.
okay, then. The other outlier is. Wow. Danny Smith, Park 2025 project. And then future project.
Yeah, so I took the numbers that Mr. Killian sent to me and I added up the small and medium projects. And I think let's see what that. I thought it was 24.5.
The security cameras, were you guys still doing the ring thing? Is that still the?
You guys feel more comfortable and happy to leave. I wasn't trying to.
Oh, I know.
So it's 35,215.
This is a public meeting, you are,
Yeah,
it's on Zoom, so you're more than welcome to stay.
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm not even sure I'm
You
allowed to
do
ask
if
a
you
question.
want.
at this point.
We still have to talk about the budget for next year. I mean, it's just a whole packet of stuff here. We might have our
I
lunch
was hoping to
meeting
get out
yet.
there. Okay, so,
And we need to be specific for this. Right.
Pardon?
We need to be like very specific for this grant as well. Like, do we have to say lights, cameras?
I think we have to be as specific as possible, yes.
Yeah.
Replace field lighting, yeah, $7,000 as requested.
This is the one where I might have just a little bit more trouble deciding, I guess, because the lighting definitely, the field stuff, I just don't. I mean, we don't have a better source for it other than maybe moving some of that to cover the shed. I don't know because I haven't looked, but I feel like that number just feels low to me.
Which number?
The 5,000 for a shed, if you were gonna.
I think we're just storing documents in it.
Yeah, and there's also, like wheelchairs and random stuff from here. They do have equipment in it, but mostly it's just files. Sure, Bess, do you mind if we take a small 5-minute break?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna take all this, if it's anything you guys need that I will be helpful, let me know. Well, maybe you guys come to this.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
It's gonna be. That's true.
We might learn how long he's after we're going for it today.
Thank you for the great. I didn't know how to put that way.
All right, it's 8:17 and we will resume.
So I'm sorry, going back to the fire district, so you do want me to ask them about if they prefer a 1 year versus a multi-year?
So I think we're away from that now. I
Okay.
think that
Well, I know it sounds like a big amount, but if you look at our cash balance for our township fund and our rainy day fund, it's like 200 or
well, you budgeted it under the additional project here, 190 and 550, so.
But if you look at the cash available for those two accounts, right now, it's $389,000.
Yeah,
So if you, on our financial spreadsheet. I was just saying, I know that sounds like a lot of money. I have spent worse. That makes me nervous too, but I think that's something that we can do in 1 year.
well, and it goes towards the township, and the residents, in a very meaningful and I think in an impactful way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't mean to harp on it. I just think my fear is just it is a large amount, and it's kind of like once it's gone, it's gone, and I know this is not our fault because it kind of got passed down from the state, but it just feels like we went from a conservative approach of longevity to now we're like trying to use funding very quickly, and
It's abrupt.
it's abrupt, yeah. But I agree. I think it's a great use. If we're gonna have to use that money or get the opportunity to use it, that is a good use of it. So that's where I think.
All good comments. So thank you for that.
So as far as the MOU, we're just going to say that they're gonna stick to what they had, which is it's going to be in those 3 buildings. Yeah,
The triangle.
triangle of protection.
I mean, it really does, hit pretty much every area. Okay. So I think when we paused, we were discussing the Danny Smith as well.
Yeah, so we need to make 2 decisions. We need to come up with what we want to do with the 2025 community grant so that I can prepare paperwork for next time. Next meeting. For them to sign and you to sign. And then the second part is we need to figure out if there's any funding for any other projects. Mainly the list that was presented earlier this week and this evening.
I'm certainly on board with the lighting
Same.
To,
for 2025 at least.
So there's 2 different things on here for lighting. There's the field lights and then there's the light pole on and then light on field 2.
They did say that they had pledges to cover the 7,000 though.
True. But that would allow them to allocate it to other things potentially as well, but we would be
Sure.
paying for the lighting.
Yeah, at least it's a feel good scenario. If we pay for the lighting portion that we feel is necessary and that we felt that way for a few years now,
Sure.
that would allow them to loosen up maybe that 7,000 for the stuff that we feel a little bit less.
You had the exact same comment I was gonna make.
Yeah.
We had already planned for this. They just had already gotten allocated funding for it, but we're putting it back on there. So I'm absolutely fine with that.
Do we just want to go down the list? So next is security cameras. Which is 4 solar powered ring cameras throughout the park for $2,815.
I don't love that. I feel like there's a better way of doing it. I say that without knowing anything about security cameras, but I kind of agree with what we've talked about before. Just the ring is not. Maybe you get lucky and get a still picture of somebody, but I know that the cameras I have in my house half the time they go off for nothing, half the time you can walk right in front of them, they don't go off. So I don't know how much that helps them catch and certainly deter in real time. I wouldn't think it does the job, but
Well, they're solar powered, so. No, could be taken out with a rock.
yeah,
I think that. I guess from my perspective, I would want to see something a little bit higher end.
yes.
Something that was kind of more hidden than a large sized ring camera. And then also what about internet connectivity and where is that housed? Is that housed in the concession stand? Because I think it would have to be, but then heating's an issue there.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm digressing here. So yes, I'm absolutely for number one. Number two, I think the board has some concerns with.
Well, and if we paid for 7,000 for the field lights, then the pledges that would have gone for the 7,000 could potentially pay for the security goods.
Potentially, yes.
So that is for 2025. As well, we can do more. If there's, I guess that's one question is, and I actually don't have his phone number. Is, if we went ahead and greenlight all of these projects, is this something that they could do this year or? Would this be a next year project?
I see what you're saying. Well, I think the replacing field lights, that's a done thing.
Yep.
That isn't an issue. I would like to know, how does the board feel about? Okay, we were going down the list here so well, and then we stopped. So we were on number, I think, 3 and 4, which were regrades for the road and the field.
Yeah, so field 2 is out of level by over 11 inches from third base side to first. There's significant erosion, creating an unlevel area on first base path. It's dangerous for players.
I'm sure that they have something to back that up, but we played softball on that field all year long, and I don't know what that is describing. I mean, I'm sure there's water runoff, but that's.
All right, let's do this real quick as a board. So for number one, we have a yes.
Yes,
Number 2, we have a no. Number 3 and number 4, I'm hearing that we have a no.
No, I'm not saying no, sorry.
We have a maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, let's put a maybe.
More on board with the road than I am.
Okay, okay, so we have a maybe plus on the road and a maybe minus on the field. Replace light pole and fixed light field on number 2 for 4,000. Number 5.
I would say yes.
Yeah,
I saw the pictures for that. It does not look safe. I could barely see the pole behind those trees. So I'm a yes on that.
for me, I thought that price seems high, but I don't know what all they have to do.
Fair point. And it may come in lower.
Yeah,
So the way we do these is that they pay for it and then we reimburse them, or they present a bill. So
Add lights to batting cage area. I am a yes. How's the rest of the board feel?
Yes, that's a safety thing.
yeah.
Okay,
If we're choosing to have these, then.
you can do a maybe. I mean, I'm just trying to get through this.
Yeah, no,
It's 8:30.
I apologize.
Install HVAC at the concession stand.
I think that price seems really low.
Yeah, that was my thought too. Air conditioning is expensive.
I guess I'm not sure. Let's get through this. Are we looking at a yes, no, or maybe on that?
I lean no for me personally, because I think the price is not correct.
Okay, if the price was correct.
I think probably not. I think I would just say buy a more modern window one. And don't run it when you don't need it running.
Yeah, so they do make those one units that are elongated that are indoor only, I think. They don't really pull from the outside, right?
I
They
think,
do, yeah.
yeah, they maybe just have like a vent or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the board could say if we thought that something like that was just more expensive, we could say, We're a no on your 5,500, but at the $10,000, if you have an interior, would you be a yes? I guess is the question. So we'll put, you want to put a maybe on that right now?
Sure.
We'll just pencil them maybe right now.
So install an HVAC system at the concession stand. So this would be installing whatever furnace heat pump in that area. You just said something about not being outside, that you
Yeah, like,
wanted
I
an
don't-
inside unit, so I'm a little confused.
He was mentioning heat, so yeah, it would be more of a heat pump than it would be
Okay.
just
If
air.
it keeps it from the pipes from freezing.
Okay, well, we're a maybe on that. New small field at 100,000.
I'm a no for that one.
No,
I think that he was also talking about the turf fields and that these are kind of the wish listy, the bigger items that may not be practical either, I believe. So what are we at 9 and 10?
I think I'm for road work. I don't know about paving necessarily, but certainly. You know, I think if they can fix the drive up the hill, that's a good use of, because people do drive up to that playground and park.
Then regrading the road.
Well, I guess 4 is more of what 10 is paving.
Yeah, so we're talking 75,000 for the turf infields. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the,
Oh, I am.
Okay. So I'm on number 9. Are we a yes or a no?
No,
No, yeah.
Okay. Number 10.
I think would be awesome. I don't think that. I think it's a no, just based on what we have available, right?
I would agree with that.
And he also said the county may not permit it because it's a permeable surface with runoff.
Right.
Or a non-permeable surface.
All right, so we are a yes for number 1. We are a yes for number 6. We are a yes for number 5.
You took my pen.
I'm sorry. It's coming in use. It's so then we're down to regrade road and regrade field as maybes.
So where are we at money wise?
So right now we're at right about 20,000.
4, 3 yeses.
I would be a yes on the regrade the road. I guess I was getting those two a little bit confused because they're
Okay.
two.
22.
And regrade field.
I would say yes.
So that maybe minus turns into a maybe positive. So that would. So we're up to the 23.5 right now. With that, it would be up to 27.5. And if we're looking at an HVAC in the concession stand. I mean, if we budgeted,
It's 33,000.
would be, if we budgeted, say, you know, higher for that, I mean, we're looking at 35,000 to 40,000 for the Danny Smith Park.
Well, for this year and next year in my cash flow analysis, it's 40,000.
Yeah, so we hit that. We pretty much hit the targeted amount that was potentially allocated.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit more than I think that they're requesting for those specific items. Because I think that the board is right that the HVAC and the concession stand may be a little bit more pricey than they think it's going to be, but. I mean, just going off of. Yes. We went off of exact figures of what they're providing.
We could say up to 40,000.
or up to 35,000 and give you a little bit more money for your shed. For the township shed, not your shed. Let me see here. I think you're right. That would be good. About 84. Yeah, because I think that with the pricing that they're quoting, it comes in at $32,400.
Is your signs for the cemeteries, you're including that in the 10,000?
Yeah, that's what I have included, but I tell you what, if you go on Amazon, you can go pretty cheap. So I don't know, I just have to decide what I want.
Yeah, I think we were in agreement that it wasn't what we were literally looking at. Obviously, nothing exorbitant, but I mean, something metal and not wood, something like that. Something that's gonna last the test of time. Is that what you were thinking too?
I
Sorry.
was thinking like the DNR would, I don't know, that's something that we're supposed to be getting for Step Cemetery. But they put that request is years old by now, but I don't know, for me, I'm a little traditional in that way, but we certainly don't have to. One of the decision points for me, and we could talk about this next time, is, you go online and they talk about, please pick up after yourself, please no dogs, please this, please that. And, for me, kind of my vision of this was just cemetery name, established this. For questions, contact, it would be our number for now. I don't know at what point we cease to exist. Maybe that's something we could do. Is to update those signs.
No, I think that's great. I mean, identification, I think, and established is fantastic. The contact may be something that hopefully we could have. If it had the option for something that had a sign that had something that you could put extra, like, on there that was removable, that if something were to change, then we had that option. Back to your point again, I think that I would be fine if the board is fine of saying up to $40,000, but specifically earmarked for those items that they posted. Should additional funding be required, for example, for the HVAC unit to make it not the HVAC unit, the heat pump, whatever it is, to make it, a bit better, make it longevity wise, that I'm absolutely for them having the discretion to make that decision. If it's the choice between a $5,500 unit that's gonna last 5 years or an $8,500 unit that's gonna last 15 to 20, I would much rather they make that decision. If the board is in agreement.
Yeah.
And so for the shed, the cemetery infrastructure, the senior center, these are all things that again, when I talked with Mike, he wasn't very interested in doing things, but at least if we put in our capital improvement plan that those were our intentions, we can always reevaluate that. I think that builds us in a little bit of a buffer.
Do you want this?
Yeah, I'll make a copy of it.
Uh,
Or why don't you just? So is that final answer? Is that something you want me to email him and get that kind of document going?
Which one?
Danny, sorry,
Yeah.
thank you. Danny Smith Park,
Yes.
support and agreement?
Yes.
I think that this will be some pretty remarkable changes. Honestly, I'm very happy with the decisions made tonight.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I think they do a great job at the park. I don't mean to be hard on them.
We want more.
Yeah. And he made it pretty clear, I know this is off topic, but he made it pretty clear that their idea is baseball. You know, and I think as long as we try to keep our focus on helping them do things that can be a little bit more broader, that's great. So,
100% agree. Okay. Any other, are we good? Can we
I think we're good. It definitely gives me a direction. I can go ahead and reach out to them, try to get some paperwork done. I can continue to work on our cash flow and I still think we have some flexibility if things change over time. And we will still most likely be giving some money or transferring some money to the new township roads and infrastructure funds that we will be developing next month. And we'll be transferring money to that, but I also think we need to balance that with being conservative as far as our cash flows as well.
Yes. Great. All right, finally, and I think that we're on record here for one of the longer meetings, finally, we have the 2026 budget discussion.
So as requested by the board, I did submit the Benton town or the population of townships from the 2020 census to I added that to the salary spreadsheet. I was surprised to see that all of the townships, so I'm just double checking my math here. Yes, all of them have had a population decrease. So I thought that was interesting. So I guess my question to you, budget that I had prepared for you, it has some of these amounts already as far as cemetery infrastructure, Unionville Senior Center, these are kind of already built in there right now. Of course, I can already see that we're gonna need to change some things, but my question to you is, we had talked last week about, or last month, about salary and kind of how other townships have raised their salaries over time. Ours are pretty stagnant. As a matter of fact, I think mine's the same as what it was in 2012 when I came in office. And I'm not saying that, but whenever you talk about public official salary, you always want to make sure that it's worth somebody's time so that they'll run for office and do a good job. So that's all I'm going to say about that. The only other question that I had is the salary of the deputy trustee. I didn't know whether to leave that in or to take that out. Kind of, you know, if we wanted to build that into the chair's salary, since the chair is kind of doing the duties of the deputy trustee when I am gone, because I do sometimes leave. So I wasn't sure what the board, if they'd had any thoughts since the last meeting about that topic.
I'm all in favor of, you know, doing an adjustment. We have not done that in a number of years, whereas other townships have, and I feel like we're fairly behind as a result of that. You know, it would have been nice if everybody did the same thing, but understanding that sometimes that's not practical either.
I mean, we could take the 750 a deputy trustee and we could divide it out amongst the 4 positions.
I think that would be fine. I think also that I understand that the chair sometimes has additional responsibilities, but those are a choice, not a guarantee. And the next chair may not, you know, want those responsibilities. So I think that having the board members and the, you know, the secretary does a lot of extra work after hours. So I think that maintaining, and they can sometimes shift responsibilities. So I think that maintaining an equal amount across the board members, I think is in my opinion, absolutely acceptable.
Yeah, I guess for me, I feel uneasy about it, just. You know, voting yourself a raise just feels uncomfortable. I know that we're behind.
I think you're also needing to look, sorry to interrupt, but
No, you're-
I think you also need to look at, our terms are up pretty soon. And so what really we're also doing is we're making it so that people that run, after us. I would agree with you if we just came on and
Sure.
we're all like, let's give ourselves all raises now.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I mean, I'm looking at, I guess I have a different perspective too, because I've been here and with
right.
the trustees support and the board support, we have intentionally actually lowered our amounts back to
That is true.
the amounts that they originally were. Because COVID and everything else, so it wasn't like, I mean, we were actually due for increases and we chose not to do that. All other townships did, so I feel really good about what we did when we did it, but I think that was in some ways a disservice to the longevity of it. It's kind of that, taxation of, I'm all for a, 2% or a 1% tax increase. I'm really opposed to a 10 to 15% tax increase. But when you keep lowering the taxes, even sometimes in reverse, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, we have this to pay for, and this to pay for, you have to do that bigger increase sometimes. And so I want to be responsible to that, but I also want to be responsible to a future board that comes in that looks at this and thinks, wow, wait, okay, this township, and I want to be equitable. I don't want to be, let's give everybody huge raises. This is what is equitable, what is honest, and what is fair, I think is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I will say, if you look at my spreadsheet back from the data, in 2022, there was an average increase of 3.38% for the trustee salary and 6.49% for the board salary. In 2023, there was an average increase of 9.63% for trustee position and 24% for the board position. And then in 2024, there was an average increase of 5.37% for trustee and 6.5% for the board. So the fact that we've had zero change,
For those 3 years.
yeah.
No, I hear you, and it just,
Yeah.
It sets off the red flag, right?
Yeah,
Immediately,
absolutely.
it's
Yeah,
that I have a fiduciary responsibility here.
Yeah,
And I don't want to have the perceived impropriety that I'm, doing something wrong here. And I think that
right, yeah, and well,
if anything, you should be blaming the previous board, and myself included,
No.
that didn't do what everybody else was doing, and trying to make sure it's fair and equitable.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I was gonna say too, I guess I would feel like if there were raises that were certainly due or that make the most sense, I would feel like the trustee, obviously, because she does the most work on a regular basis, and a considerable amount more than the board, and then also I was gonna say the deputy or the chair, because you take on those side quests when they arise. For me, it doesn't, it's like an hour maybe to type up the notes. It's not a great time constraint or anything like that. And I chose to do this.
Well, in the past, when we had an hourly person, we did do kind of just a 3% raise every year. And 3% would be below any of the average raises by trustee or board members in the last 3 years. But it's also a little something. So
Yeah.
I agree.
it's,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure, I would advocate a little bit better adjustment, because again, I think that we should be making this not just for this current board, but for the future board, and being equitable across. I'm not saying that this board is more important or less important than any other board, but I think that the salaries need to be commensurate with the other townships, whatever, what they're doing. Because what was the year over year increases for the last 3 years for each?
so for trustee in 2022 was 3.38, in 2023 was 9.36, in 2024 was 5.37. For the board, in 2022 was 6.49. In 2023 was 24 flat. And in 2024 it was 6.5.
I should also point out that to the board here, you know, we're all aware that the trustee does more, yes, but the trustee's salary is also significantly more than the board's is. So.
Am I? No, what? No, I'm not seeing.
Uh,
Oh, Sam, I'm such a lead. Sorry.
you got the right one now?
Yes.
I agree with what you say, Bill, but I also, you guys do more than I do, so I don't have a problem if you. leave more.
Yeah, but I think that the issue, well, I mean, yeah, I mean.
For,
The
for
elected-
this moment, but like I also say, I think you wanna draw good people to do this, and that means.
Well, if you do, I guess I'm looking at it from a budgetary perspective, if. And do other, I mean, I don't think other townships have a differentiation, do they, from board member to board member?
I don't believe so, because that would have caught my attention in this spreadsheet.
I think that what I'm looking at this is if I'm not here, you know,
that's
and
not
you're
right.
not here,
That's
and
what-
Jake's not here. I'm looking at this as you have a new board member, and remember too that, chair, secretary, are something that are done every year. So then you would have to change those salaries every year. And what if, you know, somebody has to take it over mid-year, you know,
Yeah.
or you're not, say that you're not here and, you know, or Jake's not here, you know, one of us would usually take on that responsibility. Does that mean then for that 1 month and that shifts over? I don't think I would rather it be across the board the same and, you know, you let the chips fall where they may and who has the responsibility that given year, that given month. I mean, I remember when, you know, I wasn't secretary and I was the board president, at the time, that's why they called it St. Clair. But I was, you know, times where I was doing the minutes too, so, and these are things that we just do, you know. And I'm not looking at this as, I wanna be compensated for every minute of everything that I do. If I'm taking on this responsibility, I want extra for this. It's really just more of what is a fair salary for a board member in Benton Township, and a fair salary for the trustee of Benton Township, and it's flat across the board. It's flat for this way, and it's standard that way.
Yeah.
And
So
I
looking,
think that's a long time for the trustee not to have an increase, that's, there's cost of living, there's things go up, I mean.
Well, and I'm looking at it just more of a equitable across Monroe County.
yeah, from a trustee perspective of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rural townships. Now, one of them does not report their salaries the way that they're supposed to. But the trustee position is the second to the bottom. Out of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 townships.
So,
And then the board is right in the middle. There's 2 that are below and there's 2 that are above. So, I mean, everybody is still meeting almost the same amounts. I mean, we've been great about meeting every week. Not every township, every month. But not every township meets every month. They meet once they may meet once a quarter. So the other, so you all are making $944 a quarter. And Bean Blossom makes $944 a year. Bean Blossom is $813, Washington is $600, but Indian Creek is $1,500 and Polk is $2,000. So yeah, Polk, with 0 township assistance requests for 2024. The trustee salary is $22,000 and the board salary is $2,000. I'm not proposing that kind of change, but I'm just saying we're average or below average in our area, so.
how would you propose we best proceed? Or
Well,
is there
the
a-
idea that I had was to go back to our salaries in 2021. Which were just slightly higher than what we have right now. For you guys, it would be an increase of $33. For me, it would be about an increase of about $1,000 for the year.
I would advocate for a slightly larger increase than that, but that's a good starting point. I mean, it's a very nominal increase. And if that puts, I guess, where does that put the board and the trustee in comparison to other townships that potentially are similar in size to us and requests?
Yeah, so there's not really any that are similar in size and.
I wish there was a formula that that everybody applied to it.
Guess the most.
And then that way it was fair across the board for everybody.
For our budget, we are closest to Indian Creek, so our budget for 2024 was 115,000. Indian Creek's was 123,075. We had 59 requests for assistance, they had 4. So the trustee salary, is 15,575. For Indian Creek is 20,000. Board salary for Benton is 944, and for Indian Creek is 1,500. So that is the one that is closest to us from a financial perspective.
It still seems pretty arbitrary.
Yeah. And I'm okay if the answer is no, I just need to know what to have prepared for our budget hearing.
I think that it should at least go back to the 2021. Set rates.
Or do a 3%
Would that be
from
this?
now.
So 3% from now would be, would that cover the?
That would be about halfway between here and the 2021 amount. So. It's completely up to you, but.
The other thing to remember too is that what are other townships doing? Are they, so the other dilemma here is, we decide that, yes, okay, say 5%, and that gets us basically to where we were at, or 6%, that gets us back to where we were at 2021. Well, are other townships doing, 5, 10, 15% increases right now, so it puts us in arrears again. I want to be fair to a board member that somebody that runs for office in another township is treated and paid fairly for their time. And for, that's the same as in Benton Township. And again, we're not talking, what you said, 1 year they did a 20-something% increase. That's just crazy.
Yeah, Indian Creek in 2023 did a 50% increase for their trustee and a 200% increase for their board.
Yeah, I'm not advocating that.
I mean, I see numbers here, 40% for the board in Van Buren, 14% in Perry for both of those. I mean, those 16%. Then you also see 4%. And you also see some 0% too. So I just don't know what the right answer is.
What would the percentage be if we went back? What percentage increase would it be if we went back to the 2021 salaries?
Well, now you're asking me to do math.
This doesn't have to be answered tonight. Yes.
For the trustee, if my math is correct, 5.9%.
Yeah.
And again, if my math is correct, and for the board, it would be 3%.
What was the first one?
5.9. But there was a weird year where there was a proposal that we do a flat amount, but then the trustee gets more because the job does more, and anyway, that's what they voted on. So I think that's why it's disproportionate.
Right. Well, I've been doing all the talking.
I mean, I know I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just not sure where I fall on it. But
On the percentage?
well, just fundamentally, like I I certainly agree that the money has to be worth. Getting somebody to take the time, because I think if that was the grand scheme of things in all politics, you'd have a lot less. People just running away doing crazy stuff.
Well, I don't think that any of us ran for this board, you know, looking at, I didn't even actually realize that the board made anything. But, you know, driving and other things, you know, doing sometimes extra errands, you know,
That's where I agree with. So that's where I guess I would say like the trustee and then the chair or the deputy deserve a.
see, I think that fundamentally that responsibility could be in any board member, at any given time too, so. I'm always willing to take that on, but also I think that it should just, for accountability, for accounting, for the most part, it should just be equal across the board. Cause I think it's hard to quantify who does what when, and you say that, well, sometimes doing the minutes only takes an hour of your time, but.
Gonna take 2 hours next time.
Yeah.
Let's do next month. Yeah.
But it also depends on how robust you wanna be in here.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you may get somebody that comes in and says, you know what? I'm gonna be really verbose in everything, and it may take them 4 to 5 hours. Tell you that when we had a presentation and I did the minutes, it took me 3.5 hours, so I mean. I think that I wanna be fair, I don't wanna be exorbitant, and where does that fall in that range? I'm leaning towards a 6, 7, 8%, personally, and I think I'll leave it at that. Everybody else can go home and kind of think about where they fall on that. Just remember that, like I said, we went back to the 2021 salary rate, and got zeros on all those years after, and you know, the other townships are probably going to do percentage increases again this year. And I don't want to put Benton Township board or trustee further behind on anything that might be equitable. But I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I certainly generally agree. I just think that with we don't know where funding's gonna come from or what it's gonna look like, and then
Well, I think that's from the trust, we're also taking, I think, potentially from what we do with the deputy trustee, right? So we have the funds for it, we're not actually allocating or spending additional, it's, I think, taking from one position, putting it into these and reallocating it for a position that we're already doing in some ways. To, you know, divide it up where you're doing some of the, you come in early to do the checks, you know, to make sure that everything's matching up. You know, I just think that, and then the responsibility it fell on me one time when you weren't available. So I mean, I think that we are an equal board playing a, you know, a cohesive role combined, and that not any one of us is, you know, relied on more than any other one at any given time potentially. So I want to keep that equitable.
And you don't wanna go back to, you know, the dark days.
Well, and I also, as I mentioned, and I will strongly say again, you know, this may not be the same board in what, a year or two, I think. So it's not like we just all came on board and we're like, hey, let's give us those raises, because that's the opposite of, I think, what we're doing. All right. Again, it's getting late, I'm getting tired, and I'm getting talkative. That's our all bad combination.
Well, I think we'll have a little bit better idea, and Jake, to your thing, you know, if we took out the deputy trustee salary, then we'd only be looking at a difference of, let's say, $400 for the year. So I feel like it's not that impactful, but you know, we can wait till next time. Next time is our budget hearing. So we'll kind of be going over the budget line by line. Plan for fun. And then October is, and next week's also, or next month's also gonna be our capital improvement plan. And our new road and infrastructure fund.
Creation.
Yep, and signing contracts with these entities if they agree to be a partner, and then October will be our budget hearings. So we can make changes from our advertised amount to our budget adoption. So this kind of conversation about this trivial amounts, small amounts of money can continue on because we've got that flexibility.
Anybody have anything to add to the discussion? All right, we have no public comment, from what I can see. It is Make a record, maybe. It's 9:02. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion meter.
Second.
Do a roll call. McNerney?
Aye.
Stubbs?
Aye.
Huss? Aye. We are adjourned.